Yopo and the Haunted House. Yopo seeds are used in parts of Central and South America by shamans. They make a snuff out of the ground up Yopo seeds and snort it through a dual nostril snorter, at least from what I've seen. I've only smoked Yopo seeds. In order to do this, you have to peel the brown shell off the Yopo seeds before you can cut them up into smaller pieces. The smaller you cut them, the better. While I have smoked Yopo quite a few times, I have only had 2 DMT-like experiences with them. Most times after smoking Yopo, I felt a body rush of DMT, but got none of the visual experiences that I've had with all of my other smoked DMT journeys. It was still a good feeling, but you had to smoke quite a bit of the harsh smoking seed to get the effect. Not to mention, Yopo burns at a very high temperature, so with the Bic, I feel like I would have to light it for almost a minute straight before it actually started to smoke. The 2 times I tripped with visuals off Yopo were at my friend's house, the same friend's house both times. This is a weird house. This gets into a difficult subject, but they believed their house to be haunted. 3 people lived in this house, and they all would hear strange noises, voices, bangs, things like that emanating from the basement. And they all individually experienced witnessing these sounds, but they were all timid about telling each other about what they thought they heard because they didn't want the others to think that they were some kind of weird ghost freak. And to be completely honest, I've been hesitant about putting this video up because I think it kind of makes me out to be a ghost freak, but I'm not in any way. I think of it quite differently. But one night, while we were playing a baseball video game in my friend's room, a really loud thud was heard on the outside of his wall. Just like someone had just came up and just smacked their fist as hard as they could against the wall. We were the only ones at the house at the time, and it was about midnight. And the only thing on the other side of the wall was a stairwell to the basement and then an exterior wall. After the noise, all 3 of us went outside to see if we could see anything, if anything had hit the house or footprints, anything. It was late, so it was dark, but it had recently snowed and there was a bright moon, so it was pretty easy to see that there were no footprints leading up to the house. No one had hit it, and there wasn't anything landing out like a dead bird underneath it. So we went back inside, and this is when actually my friend had told us, this first time he told us about how he considered his house to possibly be haunted. And he had just recently talked to his brother about this, who actually lived in the house with him as well. Shortly after this, I felt compelled to pull out my Yopo seeds, which I conveniently had with me at the time. The only pipe my friend had was a zong, which, if you're not familiar, is a Z-shaped bong, or a bong with a Z in it, basically. I loaded up the bowl with shredded Yopo seeds and lit up. Not too many hits into the zong, I began to feel the rush. A few more hits and I was feeling my brain really start to rumble. I started seeing this dark place with shimmering slivers of metallic pastel ribbons. I smoked some more and just got deeper and deeper into this DMT space, or almost DMT space. It was different. But I actually had to give up my 2-inning rotation in the PS3 baseball game we were playing, which is absolutely unheard of. It's a very competitive game we play. But then I broke through, kind of. Again, it was weird. And on Yopo, so it was monumental in my mind at least. But I know I didn't make it all the way through the veil, because I recall seeing the cellophane crystalline wall wrapped around the land of light, as I've dubbed it. But I experienced a disgruntled lightish being in this space, and before you get to in the tunnel, essentially, he was upset. From what my soul gathered, it was too dark. That's why he was upset. It was ridiculous. But so anyway, I walked over to the wall, which was like a shimmering pastel purple magenta at this point, and I touched it, And as I touched it and moved my hand up, the light increased. I turned the light up, and I explained what I was doing to this light being and looked up and saw the wall, the sectioned off wall of light around the land of light. And it was shimmering above me, and I pointed up and I said, there's a lot more light where that came from. And then I came back right after this experience, found my breath, and it was incredible. It was the first time I ever encountered a being in the tunnel to hyperspace, and the first time I felt as though I was able to teach a light being. In most instances, they're teaching you about the complexities of, not complexities, but the intricacies of their world and how wonderful it is. But for the first time, I felt as though I was able to help them. I know not if he listened or knew what to do after that. I don't know that I would even know what to do after that. I don't know that I still know. I don't know that what I think I know is even true. It might just be a fabrication of my own mind. But what is my mind, and what is it connected to? My friend with the haunted house, he worked at a local radio station and had connections to a paranormal expert who was trying to shoot a pilot for a ghost hunting show, which was all the rage at the time, and still is. They offered to explore my friend's haunted house and record the whole thing. Of course, it was really over the top and offered no real evidence for their actions and reactions, but I don't suppose there is much hard evidence that would be acceptable in anyone's eyes. I don't claim to have any hard evidence for my experience in hyperspace with the disgruntled light being, but even though the psychic medium that was brought to the house to help cleanse it claims that she had the Archangel Michael close the hyperdimensional portal that was opened in my friend's basement, her words, not mine, I claim responsibility for cleansing that domicile. Maybe he didn't leave until the team of psychopaths came through with the cameras and other BS, but at least I feel I showed him the way out the back door. A door I'm sure he slipped out of to avoid the overacting annoyance of the psychic medium brought that day. Samud Bada.